Hey everyone, so next we're going to go ahead and start coding. So we're going to click on our yellow events tab and use when green flag clicked. Next we're going to go into looks and hide. After, we're going to go inside the yellow events tab again and use when I receive start game, and I'm going to go ahead and hide again. So I'm going to duplicate this hide and add it here. Now we're going to go ahead and use when I receive to, and we're going to add a hide. So I'm just going to duplicate this again. Now this is going to create our Highscore counter for us. So we're going to go ahead and go into control. We're going to add a forever underneath the hide. We're going to add an if then. And then at the bottom of control, we're going to add delete this clone at the bottom of the if then. Instead of the diamond shape, we're going to go into operators and use a less than symbol. We're going to go into variables, and on the empty bubble, we're going to go ahead and add our Highscore. And on the 50, we're going to add our score. Inside of the if, we're going to go ahead and add a set Highscore to, and we're going to add the score bubble to it. Now that we're done with that, the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do I'm going to click on the yellow events tab, add when I receive 3. We're going to go into control and add a wait 0.1 seconds. Then I'm going to go inside the blue motions tab and add a go to x0 y 110. Then I'm going to go into looks and add a hide. After that, I'm going to go ahead and go into variable, add a set, change this to clone. Then I'm going to go back into control. I'm going to add a repeat 10. And I'm going to go back inside of variables and add a change clone by 1. And then I'm going to go inside of control. I'm going to scroll all the way down and add a create clone of myself. So now that we're done with that, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. These are the code that we just finished making. So now we're going to make the code that's going to have this block here. So I'm just going to move this a little bit down to make space. And we're going to start this code by clicking on control and scrolling all the way at the bottom and adding when I start as a clone. Next, we're going to go into looks and add a show. After that, we're going to go into control and add a forever. Inside of the forever, we're going to go into looks and add a set size to 100%. Then we're going to add a switch costume. We're going to go into operators, use a subtraction symbol, and on the left-hand side, we're going to use letters of. We're going to go into variables, the 1, we're going to add the clone. For the apple, we're going to add the Highscore. And for the empty bubble, we'll do -1. After that, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. This big block of code that was already pre-made for us, we're just going to go ahead and add it in. Next, we're going to go inside of the blue motions tab. We're going to add a change y by, Inside of the bubble, we're going to go into operators and use the multiplication symbol. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to add a subtraction symbol. Make sure it's inside of that. Okay. So starting from the left-hand side, the empty bubble is going to be 110. The middle bubble, we're going to go into the Motions tab and add the Y position bubble. And then the last bubble on the right-hand side, we're going to change this to 0.2. Finally, underneath everything, we're going to go into Control and add an if then else. We're going to go into Looks, and on the first bracket, we're going to add a show. And on the second one, we're going to add a hide. Inside of the diamond, we're going to go inside of operators and use a greater than. On the left-hand side, we're going to use length of. And on the right-hand side, we're going to use the subtraction bubble. For Apple, we're going to go into variable, and we're going to use our Highscore bubble. For this middle bubble, we're going to add a clone. And for the last one, we're going to go ahead and add a 1. So now that we're done with the code, it's always good to test out your game, make sure you're able to lose, make sure you're able to see your score and your high score displayed. Like I said, again, if you don't like where your high score text is, you just have to go ahead and click on the high score text and change this go to X, Y block so you can make it higher or lower. Or you can also add a set size to at the very top if you need to change the size. Same thing for the score. If you need to change the size, you can set the size here. And if you need to do that for your high score, you can set the size right here. Okay. If you need to set the placement, so the location where the high score is, you can go ahead and come up here and change it right over here in this go to X and Y block. And you can do the same thing for the score as well. If you need to change the position, you just have to go ahead and change this go to X and Y. So once you've tested it out, moved everything where it needs to go, make sure that everything is working, we are all done for our week 3 course. So awesome job, guys. The next thing that will be set up will be for our deep dive lessons.